includes socio-political history and educational growth in South Asia in modern times. He has extensive knowledge about the independence movement of Indian subcontinent and great leaders like Gandhi, Nehru, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and others. Among his celebrated books are Dhaka, a study in history and urban development 1840 to 1885, Dhaka College, History and Heritage, and Mitford University and Dhaka Medical College. His PhD dissertation titled Dhaka, a study in urban history and development, was simultaneously published from the United Kingdom and the United States of America in 1986. His book on Mitford has won the UGC Bangladesh Award. His edited work titled Dhaka Past, Present, Future was published by the Asiatic Society of Bangladesh in 1986, which included research articles contributed by scholars from Bangladesh and abroad. Later, his edited works titled Dhaka History and Heritage, numbering 20 volumes, were published by the Asiatic Society during 2009-10. Likewise, his edited works on Dinajpur History and Heritage and Silhat History and Heritage were published by the Bangladesh Historical Association in 1996 and 1998 respectively. Dr. Ahmed is involved with many learned and research bodies and has discharged responsible and valuable services to these institutions. He was the President and General Secretary of Bangladesh Historical Association as well as the Vice President of the Asiatic Society of Bangladesh. For a long period of 10 years, he was the Director of the National Archive and National Library of Bangladesh 1997 to 2006. At present, he is also the President of Bangladesh Archive and Records Management Society, BARMS. Being the first private university of Bangladesh, Dr. Ahmed thought that a history of North-South University should be written. Thus, under his initiative and editorship, a book titled Road to Excellence, a history of North-South University was published in 2016. At present, Dr. Ahmed is engaged in editing a book on the life and works of Bangbandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and also busy in writing a research work on Dhaka History and Urban Development 1971 to 2017. With this brief introduction, I like to hand over the mic to Dr. Sarifuddin Ahmed to address the viewers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amitabh. It was not a brief, it was quite a bit of longish introduction to me. I think, many of you may not like it, because it's taking some time. In brief, what I like to describe myself as that I am a very devoted student of history and also a very hardworking researcher in the social, cultural, and economic life of Asian people. So it is a great honor for me to be invited by the University of Tripura to present the keynote speech on a very not only important, it's such a respectful occasion, the 150th birthday anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. I'm deeply touched by this invitation because you don't get much opportunities to say a few things as a historian to this great man of the universe. I am particularly grateful to the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Tripura University, Professor Ganga Prasad, for being present here as the chief guest. And I also thank and express my gratitude to other important members of Tripura University, its academic wing as well as administrative wing, and particularly the, the Department of Library Science and the Department of Library, the librarian, and other people associated with the organization of this symposium. Now, I don't know how much time I'll be given, but I was told that I should be finishing in 15-20 minutes time. And this is now Bangladesh time 4:25. So I will finish something like, in another 20 minutes time. That will be something 4:45 Bangladesh time and uh, around 10 past 4 in Tripura Indian time. Now, this apparently may appear too short a time to talk about Mahatma Gandhi and uh, his works, particularly in the field of education. But I think the time is good enough to tell the essence of his educational ideology and how it affected the contemporary world and what is its relevance today. I think if we could highlight these two things, we will be able to do justice to what this great man wanted to do, not only in India, but throughout the underdeveloped part of the world. And as you all know, that Mahatma Gandhi started his life in the typical Indian colonial days, having degrees from the local university, then going abroad, in this case England, to get his degrees in law and come back to India to practice as a lawyer, to carry on his life and life as a lawyer. Though he started like that, but he changed everything, not only uh, within himself, but to India as well as the whole world. And two areas actually, rather the experiences of two areas, inspired him to do the kind of thing that we have seen he did during his lifetime in India. That is his experiences in South Africa and, of course, his experiences of South Asia. So these two experiences had led him to what we know as the Mahatma, the great man. Now, it is quite expected that I should say something about Mahatma Gandhi before I actually go into the subject. Now, it is absolutely a kind of a uh, brave venture to talk about Gandhiji's life, etc. He was such a man, he was such a great man that it requires another great man, which I am not, to evaluate him. But I would like to say, I would like to uh, cite uh, the opinions and remarks by one of our great Bangladeshi historian, Professor Salauddin, who happened to meet him in Noakhali during the Noakhali riot when Professor Salauddin was a very young person. He was not only young, but he was a Muslim as well as a radical. And as you know, at that particular time, Gandhiji had a fight with the militant Indians who were on the left, who wanted to bring left ideas, the socialist ideas, the communism in India. And Professor Salahuddin, being just a, being very recently having his master's from Calcutta University, and he represented the young, angry Indians of that time who wanted to change the whole Indian society in a revolutionary manner, following the path of the communists in different parts of the world. And so he had a kind of, reservation about Gandhi. But as it happened that he accidentally met Mahatma Gandhi in Noakhali while he was working for the Indian Red Cross as a official, as a volunteer. And just for 2, 3 days, he had close contact with Mahatma Gandhi, and he saw what he did, what he spoke. And within these 3 days of his familiarity with Mahatma Gandhi, Professor Salahuddin became almost a changed man. And he realized what was Mahatma Gandhi and why the whole world talks about him. He could not believe that Mahatma Gandhi, being a politician, a leader of the highest stature, can be so modest, so humble, making no difference with the poorest people in the Indian subcontinent and behaving sometimes just like them, a poor man of India. And that Professor Salahuddin in one of his articles, being a Muslim historian and a Bangladeshi historian who used to be an angry young man in his 1920s wrote that Mahatma Gandhi's place in history was perhaps best judged by Einstein, who observed, generation to come it may be, will scarcely believe that such a one as this, that is Mahatma Gandhi, in flesh and blood, walked upon this earth. So that cannot be less than recognizing, accepting, and putting Mahatma Gandhi at the same level like Socrates and even Jesus Christ. So this was the kind of man Mahatma Gandhi was. So really I'm a bit apprehended, I'm a bit scared as to I don't know what to talk about this man. But nevertheless, as a historian and as a follower of the independence movement of India and the latest, the freedom movement of Bangladesh, I have something to talk about. But if you want to understand Mahatma Gandhi and his Nai Talim, then of course we have to go back something like around nearly 100 years back from now. That is to South Asia of the 1930s. So unless we go there, we won't be able to appreciate what Gandhiji was saying. So in the 1930s, our South Asia was in desperate situation, desperate kind of country and people. The British colonial rule and the colonial rulers and the capitalism had actually exhausted, exploited India and Indian people to an unimaginable proportion. And unfortunately, there were many Indians, I mean the Indians of 1930s, that is the whole of South Asia, that includes Pakistan, Bangladesh, all of this. The whole of South Asia was under tremendous pain, excepting the few collaborators and of course the people like us who had Western education, who had good government jobs, who enjoyed the life and exploited India to their heart's content. And in Bangladesh and in Bengal, as you know, we had a class of zamindars who exploited our people like anything. Now that was the kind of India that was in 1930s, a very downtrodden mass with colonial masters and their Indian collaborators. So in this situation, Mahatma Gandhi carried on many struggles in all fronts with his two little hands and very weak and kind of fragile body. But his mind was extraordinarily strong. Now, while the political movement was going on, obviously there was question, there were expressions about what will happen after the British left India, how India will be run. Again, India means South Asia. And so, a lot of people were putting forward a lot of ideas about how the independent South Asia should move forward. And Mahatma Gandhi was familiar with all these things. He was familiar also what was going on throughout the world, how the capitalistic society were thriving at the cost of ordinary people, what the socialists are trying to do, what the communists are dreaming about. He knew all these things. But his solution, his directions does not really look into these things. Rather, he looks things at home, around him. What is going on? What is India? Now, in this connection, Mahatma Gandhi introduced or brought forth his Nai Talim, which is, if we translate in English, it becomes either basic education or new education. And what is the aims and objectives of this new education? I do not have so much time to elaborate all these things, but what I would like to say that Mahatma Gandhi wanted this education to be a matter of a spiritual thing as well as worldly thing. Education would make the students real people, real human being. At the same time, they will not depend on others. They will live on their own. They will earn their food by their own, especially skilled talents. So that is why he put forward the idea of Nai Talim, which will make a student also self-reliant. You don't have to seek the kindness of any other person. And that is why he said that my educational system would be, I quote, all round drawing of the best in child and man, body, mind, and spirit. So this is in very short the theme of his Nai Talim. And in speaking in a general way, what does it mean? It means that the students would read whatever he's supposed to read. He would learn the alphabets and read, etc. But at the same time, he will also learn many vocational things which will make him self-reliant. That is, during his schooling days, he will learn carpentry, he will learn how to manufacture other things, and of course, spinning wheels, the charka. The charka was the symbol of self-reliance, as we all know. And charka, that is producing your own cloth by yourself, by your hand spinning thread, that is your labor, which symbolizes self-reliance. You do not beg to other people. And so Gandhiji, through his Nai Talim, wanted to make the new generation of Indian people, including both men and women. Don't forget that Gandhiji also worked hard, struggled hard for the emancipation of Indian women. Indian, I mean the whole South. Whenever I say Indian, it does not mean today's India. I'm talking about the colonial India, the present day South Asia. So he was tremendously concerned about the women of India. And he often used to ask many male people that, look, whatever you have in your heart, a woman has the same thing in her heart. So there is no difference between man and woman. But what we see in India, women had no place in the society. They have no power. They have also no entity within their domestic, within their home. Their opinion is never consulted by anybody. So Mahatma Gandhi, in his new Talim, wanted to make the new generation of Indians who are not only literate, who are not only who are not only knowledgeable and literate, but who are also trained people, had vocational training, so that on the basis of which he could live his life. He don't have to beg from door to door for his living, as it was the case to some extent in the 1930s in India, when many educated Indians were not getting proper jobs. And this was particularly the case with the Muslim population of India. And this self-reliance through New Talim is not only just a educational concept of Mahatma Gandhi. It actually links up with the with his concept of future India. a future India, as he used to often say, that the future of India is the future of the common Indian people. The future of India is the future of 7.5 billion villages of India. If the villages are okay, then India is okay. If the villages are not okay, India is not okay. So that is why, as you all know, he also wanted to make the Indian villages as self-sufficient village. The village would not require anything from anybody. The village will produce its own foodstuff, produce its own dress, clothes, and other things. And they might accept something from the neighboring villages if that becomes necessary. So there will be self-sufficient villages of India. And that is how India would make progress. India would be free from hunger, free from deprivation, free from famine, free from diseases, and all kinds of things. Now, in his Nai Talim, he not only talked about primary education, but he also talks about higher education. But in his new educational system, the graduates or the master degree holders of any university would not make the students to dislike physical labor, to refrain from doing some very ordinary jobs. They would not become the elites of India as the present education system does. What does the present education system does? It creates a group of elite people who very soon forgets their own people, who very soon dislikes physical labor, who very soon dislikes the low caste people, and in certain cases, even the Muslims and other groups of religious people, who dreams about the Western world, going to England, going to Paris, all these kinds of things. Gandhi did not want this kind of education. But it does not mean that Gandhiji was not aware of the benefit of scientific studies, benefit of higher studies at Oxford and Cambridge universities, or anything like that, which had made the West powerful, knowledgeable, and more influential in the world than what the Indians were there at the time. Now, it is sometimes said that Gandhiji wanted to go back many thousand years behind when India was a republic of villages. The whole India comprised of villages and people lived in the villages and they were free, happy, and so on. He talks about those kind of things, but does not mean that he wants to go back. All he wanted to change the mindset of the Indian people. And in order to do that, the government had to do certain things, like change the educational system. And as you know all very well, that he said that the schools should not be provided with state funds. There should not be any money from the government. The school themselves will earn that money. And with that money, the teachers will be paid, official expenses would be made, and so on. So he wanted to make educational institutions self-sufficient. So it is self-reliance, self-sufficiency, self-rule in a way was the essence of his new Talim, new educational system, what we also call the basic education. Now, I don't know whether I have any more time or not. Can anybody, can the organizer tell me how much time I left with?
Sir, time over.
Okay, so what I do, I will just finish in 5 minutes time, and I hope that you, all of you, Bangladesh, um, and I have known all kinds of things during my lifetime and so on. Now, as you all probably know, that when Gandhiji was talking these kinds of things, he was actually uh, making a blow to many perceived ideas about the leaders, about the business community, about the educationists of India. And most of them actually were afraid of what Gandhiji was saying. Because if his ideas and policies were implemented, this will be greatly hard. So they were a kind of a vested interest people who eventually took over the policy making authority and power in India after the independence, when Gandhiji's ideals were only given kind of a lip support and not really. And even
Sir,
Pandit
time.
Jawahar, yeah, even Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru picked up the and a kind of a capitalist idea of running the economy. There will be a central planning, capital investment, and so on and so forth. Sorry, somebody can mute her microphone. It's echoing. Anyway, let me finish. Someone has kept his microphone on. Anyway, let me finish. That the Indian leaders did not accept what Gandhiji was talking in the 1930s and 1940s. So what were the consequences? Pakistan did not follow anything like that. Even in Bangladesh today, we are not following anything like that. Then what is the situation? Where is our ordinary man? Where is our mass? I'm afraid that our mass in South Asia, our ordinary people in South Asia, despite certain developments, certain improvements, were more or less in the same situation that Gandhiji saw in 1930s. They are still illiterate, poor, helpless, and so on. So time has once again come to look at Gandhiji's ideas about the economy, education, politics, governance of our country. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope I didn't kind of create nuisance. Uh, I would very much like to answer any question if you would like to put forward later on. Thank you very much. Yeah, Ashish, bolo.
Thank you, sir, for such an enlightening speech. In the next part of the program, we have arranged a plenary session. This will be followed by an open discussion. We are very grateful to have here with us Professor Muhammad Misbahul Islam from the Department of Library Management and Information Science, University of Dhaka, Bangladesh. Professor Chandrika Basu Majumdar, Dean of Arts and Commerce, Tripura University. Professor Shukanta Bonik, Dean of Science, Tripura University, as plenary speakers. Professor Aditya Kumar Mohanty, Adjunct Professor, Department of Philosophy, Tripura University, will be acting as the moderator of this plenary session. I would now request Dr. R.K. Mahapatra sir, Head of the Department of Library and Information Science, Tripura University, to present here a short profile of the session moderator, Professor Aditya Kumar Mohanty. Sir, Dr. R.K. Mahapatra, kindly unmute your microphone first. Dr. R.K. Mahapatra. It's now coming.
Thank you, Ashish. Good afternoon, one and all. Esteemed delegates, esteemed distinguished guests, I am privileged to introduce our esteemed moderator of this. चला गया. Start. No, you start. It's there, it's running. No, you continue. I am privileged to introduce our esteemed moderator of this symposium and plenary session, Professor Aditya Kumar Mohanty, Professor Department of Philosophy, Tripura University, and formerly Professor and Head Center for Advanced Studies in Philosophy, Utkal University. Professor Mohanty graduated and taught in Philosophy Honours from BJP College, Bhubaneswar in 1974, post-graduation in 1976 with gold medalist, graduating simultaneously in Philosophy and English Honours. Professor Mohanty did his PhD from Northeastern Hill University and Delhi from Utkal University in 2006. To his credit, Professor Mohanty authored 11 books and published a number of research papers in Indian philosophy. Professor Mohanty represented Hinduism from India in the International Seminar or Inter-Religion Dialogue at Poland. Besides his academic pursuit, Professor Mohanty served to the poor and downtrodden people and is a recipient of a Jana Seva Shield in 1983 for extensive relief work among the flood-stricken and people. He got Academic Excellence Award in 2006 in the field of social section and Gold Medal for Social Service, Rotary Award for Work for the Unprivileged, Pratibha Samman, Indra Dyumna Award in Social Work in 2019, Samaj Ratna Award in 2013, Saraswata Samman in 2013, and RM Memorial Service Award in 2014. He is the founder chairman of Reba Academy, which runs a network of children homes across the state of Odisha, devoted to the rehabilitation of deserted, unclaimed, parentless, destitute children and presently he is the member of a Global Academic Committee of Reliance Universal and engaged in research and application of microbiota. Thank you, sir. And over to Professor Mahanti. Sanjay ji, it was set.
Mohanty sir, your voice is not coming. Mohanty sir.
You can mute, sir.
Mohanty sir, your microphone is muted.
Okay, sorry, very sorry. As such, we are running behind the schedule. Namaskar to all of you, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Ganga Prasad ji, and our esteemed keynote speaker, Professor Sarifuddin Ahmed from North-South University, and a galaxy of intellectuals, scholars who are joining us in the ensuing symposium on self-reliance through Nai Talim. We're already running behind the schedule, so we shall try to look at the constraints of time. Now, one sentence I would say by way of sharing my sense of indebtedness, gratitude to the organizers, because I deem it an opportunity, a privilege, and an honor to be part of this academic event. An academic event which assumes added significance in view of the fact that we are solemnizing, rather we are remembering the father of the nation for 150 years. A philosopher, a thinker, no doubt, but a statesman of the global stature and a grassroots activist. And the topic for today's discussion by the symposium is self-reliance through Nai Talim. Nai Talim stands for, means new training, new orientation, referring to a kind of education which not only imparts knowledge, but also makes the child skilled enough so that there is a linkage between what one knows and what one does. That is how the knowledge turns out to be a tool for self-reliance. That is precisely the focal concern of Gandhi. Knowledge should not be alphabet-centric. Knowledge should not be information-centric. Knowledge has to be integrated to real-life situations so that you earn while you learn. Knowledge becomes useful, a tool for better living. And one more thing is said, that it is the values, it is the Indian ethos which are kept uppermost in mind, both while imparting knowledge, the corpus of knowledge, and also converting into skill. That is why he talks of the dialectic between man and a machine. In the dialectic between man and a machine, it is the man who should remain uppermost. Man should not be a victim of the machine, rather machine being a product of human intelligence should be used to promote the interest of the individual as well as society. We are really glad, and it is really heartening that we have with us 3 symposiums, 2 from Central University Tripura and 1 from Dhaka University. Before I call upon the first speaker, Professor Chandrika Basu Majumdar, a few words about her. The Tripura fraternity knows her pretty well because she's intimately wedded to academics as well as administration. So the professor of political science is now holding the office of the Dean, Arts and Commerce. I must say, because I have worked with her, she has been also our esteemed colleague. She possesses all the virtues of head and heart as a teacher. She's a teacher par excellence. But what endears her to others is her soft, amiable, and human nature. And one finds in her a very unique amalgam of academics as well as administration. And she has been an activist all through. She was also director of women studies, and as a director, she has done a lot to promote the cause of human rights, not only disseminating knowledge about human rights, but also taking some tangible steps, working out, spelling out steps so that the women live with dignity along with their male counterparts. That is the purpose of the women studies and all activism in the name of women movement or feminist movement. So we are going to listen to her on women liberation. So I request Dr. Chandrika Basu Majumdar, our esteemed dean, to share her considered views. Thank you. Thank you.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Am I audible, sir? Okay. Thank you, sir. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Tripura University, respected moderator, sir, our keynote addresser from Dhaka, and also all the participants. Really, I feel very happy that I am here in this webinar. And actually, I welcome UGC's this innovative attempt to involve foreign university and also our one central university. Every university are supposed to celebrate 150th birthday of Gandhiji, so that we can popularize the philosophy, the teachings of our father of the nation. Because we all know that 150th birthday of Mahatma Gandhi this year, and yesterday I just starting my speech that as it is only of 5-minute duration. That's why I have to be very brief. What I want to say that why I selected this topic, women's liberation concept, Gandhian concept of women's liberation, because to me, if all policies are not engendered, policies will be endangered itself. That is my observation. You see, I want to share my experience yesterday. What happened yesterday? Women of America, they celebrated this day of equality. Why? Because in 1919, they got the right to vote. You see, this right to vote they got in 1919, but 1776, America got independence. What happened to us, India? We got independence 1947, and as soon as this Indian Constitution was adopted in 26 November 1949 and came into effect in 26 January 1950, this right to equality was ensured to all citizens of India, irrespective of gender. We, women of India, did not have to fight for right to vote afterwards. At the very inception of independence, we got this right. And what was whose contribution was that? This was the contribution of father of the nation. This was the contribution of the father of and also this Constitutional Committee, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, chairman of this Constitution Committee, all the members of drafting committee, because we, the women of India, also at the attempt of initiative of our father of the nation, we all participated in the independence struggle. And Mahatma Gandhi wanted that women should be there, join their hands in liberation struggle, because he believed in the principle of equality. He believed in the emancipation of women. But we all know, once Gandhiji remarked that of all the evils for which a man is responsible, that is so much shocking and so much degrading, so much brutal as his abuse of his better half. And I like to mention our father of the nation never thought women as weaker section. He pronounced this word nobler section. He pronounced the word fairer sex for this women section, for their self-sacrifice, for their contribution to the society. In this brief period, I have no words in my account to express Gandhiji's detailed concept of emancipation of women. But in very short, I can point out that in respect of education, in respect of social evils like child marriage, like dowry, like parda system, like widow marriage, in all this respect, Gandhiji had a very, very progressive view about the equal status of women. Many social evils, particularly for child marriage. Now we are talking about to raise the marriageable age to 21. But do we know Gandhiji preferred that Indian citizen, Indian people should fix to 25 to 30 years marriageable age. At that time, he spoke about this. Now, our keynote address speaker also pointed out that Gandhiji was in favor of self-financing. Now we are talking about self-financing of the educational institution. But long back, 100 years back, Gandhiji thought about it. So that's why he was a leader. And in 1936, in this Congress session, in his address to Congress session, Gandhiji actually spoke very clearly that we think our women's section as Abola, but no, they must have to be Shabola. And when they will become Shabola, that will be done by their own effort. Nobody should help them. They will come forward. And this is the truth of the status of women to be raised. Again, another point I like to mention, actually when sharing and our experiences and going through Gandhi's philosophy, we are very much surprised that at that time, at the juncture of time, he could identify what are the barriers in the path of development of women to improve her status. And one of the barriers he identified that domestic responsibilities, much more domestic responsibilities on Indian women. They are creating a barrier in their path of development. And Gandhiji himself also participated in domestic work with his wife, which is commendable job he has done. So I think regarding child marriage, and also Devdashi system was there, and Gandhiji advised that as soon as India will get independence, this Devdashi system might be prohibited. And he actually, one incident I must mention here, one Mr. Lebanov was there, and he was trying for the liberation of destitute women and this sex worker. And Gandhiji told, you are doing greater jobs than me. I am also serving the people, but your job is better. That Mr. Lebanon was doing his service for the development of the prostitute women in his area. And this was Gandhiji so liberal That's why when in this age, and in this age when our United Nations Secretary General, he is pointing out that gender equality is the most challenging job in our era, and also it's one big challenge for human rights in this era. And Gandhiji's this thinking and philosophy we have to give attention. We can remember chapter 13 of Hind Swaraj. There he explained this meaning of civilization. Meaning of civilization is not in terms of comfort, is not in terms of technological innovation, that is in terms of doing our duty. And that's why I will end my speech with that famous speech of famous speech and famous quotation, famous talisman of Gandhiji, that I will give you a talisman that whenever you will be in hesitation, you will take that decision which will help the poorest man of your country. And here I believe among the poorest men, 70% belong to female section. That's why in this juncture, in this 158th birthday celebration of Gandhiji, we have to remember his famous talisman. Again, I really appreciate our Central Library for organizing this seminar as per guidelines of UGC. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Majumdar, for your, especially you deserve special thanks to respect the confines of time, because we understand the brevity is the soul of wisdom. Whatever can be said in 1 hour can be said in 1 minute as well, without sacrificing content. Now, she was trying to underline some of the core vision, thoughts of Mahatma Gandhi. First of all, he said that though India got independence, became a democratic country much later, but the democratic consciousness in India was far ahead of the Americans, United States. Because I say that right after 1947, the women were vested with the right to franchise, which America did maybe after several decades. And if the women are ensured about the rights, it is because of Ambedkar, Dr. Ambedkar, and Mahatma Gandhi, who envisioned a modern India, a India ahead of others. That is what all said. And when Gandhi talks of equality and liberation of women, friends, every prohibition, every word in our discourse presupposes a social ambience. You talk of equality only when there is an inequality. You talk of smoking prohibited, that presupposes that smoking is rampant. So the very talk of equality about Gandhi and all the entire discourse that constitutes Gandhian thought or conspectus of his thought shows that we lived in a decadent society where child marriage was prevalent, where widows are not allowed to marry, where the Parda system was revoked. So all these even concepts presuppose that we lived in a decadent society. And Gandhi identified himself with the teeming millions who lives in the villages, because he rightly said, India lives in its villages, also suggested by our keynote speaker. And one thing I would like to underline here, the Gandhi said, how do you know that we live in a civil society? He said, there are certain parameters by which you can judge whether we have formed a civil society or not, or we live in a civilized society or not. He said, the first parameter is, if a young woman can walk freely without any fear in the dead of the night, you consider that you are a civilized society. A society is said to be civilized, can be said to be civilized. This is a litmus test. If a young woman can live fearlessly, freely in the dead of the night on Indian roads. Now we have to introspect to what extent we are civilized, despite the fact that we got India long back. So that was his concern. His concern was for the teeming millions who live in the villages unnoticed. They suffer deprivation, negligence, and social discrimination. He was against all this. And when Birla Temple was opened in Delhi, Mr. Birla invited Gandhi to inaugurate. His first condition was that I will inaugurate provided it has free access to everyone, irrespective of caste, color, and religion. You have, Madam, we are grateful to you that you have underlined within short confines of time. You have underlined the core thoughts of Gandhi. It can be elaborated for hours together. With regard to Gandhi's view on women and women liberation. We go on to the next speaker, who happens to be the Dean of Science, Professor Sukant Banik. No, he has very synoptically, shortly, I will introduce him, and he has been really in the center stage of the university for more than about 3 decades in this Central University of Tripura. He has turned out to be a very innovative researcher, and he's the one who introduced the PC culture in Tripura University, and he adopted some, he left behind some innovative techniques in aquaculture research. It is said that a teacher is known more by his students than by his work. This is so true of Dr. Banik, because his students, at least as I know, 2 or 3 of his students have got international acclaim because of the research work. And Dr. Banik, he has occupied many coveted offices, like chairman of IQAC, and it is not only the office he held, but he made a difference to his role. He turns out to be a role model as an academic activist. He is with us today. He is talking on the Gandhian views on skill development. So I call upon Professor Banik to share his considered views with our listeners in the audience in the digital platform. Dr. Banik.
Thank you, Dr. A.K. Mohanty. Highly esteemed Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Ganga Prasad Parsai sir, on behalf of Tripura University, on behalf of Office of Dean, Faculty of Science, sir, I welcome you for being here with us, and you are here with us for inspiring us. You are here not only for inspiring the teachers of the university, but you are an inspirator for the students, for the non-teaching staff, for the officers, for all sections of Tripura University, and for all sections of public, the society of Tripura University. Sir, I welcome you for being here with us. I am very happy for being here in this program, and I am thankful to Dr. Sanjay, librarian, and Dr. R.K. Mahapatra, Head Department of Information Science and Library Science, who very kindly invited me to speak something over this dais. The program is on the verge of 150th birth centenary of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, the father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi. And the symposium is on Gandhian thoughts for rural literacy and development. The point is, I am a man from aquaculture field. Although the points raised by our honorable keynote speaker, then Chandrika Didimani, these are highly appreciating words I got. I listened from them. If I speak anything on Gandhiji, then I can remember my student period when I was a school student, and I read a line that on 22nd of October 1941, after completion of his morning prayer, he addressed before the villagers. What he said? He said that the villagers are the best and beautiful person for doing work in cooperation each other so that a village will progress. Once village is progressed, then nation will progress. So in that context, I mean to say that if we are to fulfill the dream of Gandhiji for development of village, then village, it is highly necessary to develop the village. If we look into village, we will see that village is basically for agricultural development. And we know, if you look into village, you will see that it may be considered a very suitable ecosystem, a very suitable natural ecosystem. And natural ecosystem has two parts. One is terrestrial ecosystem, another one is aquatic ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystem is the land part, soil part, which is being exploited largely for plant agriculture. But the aquatic part, that is the pond, lake, wetland, etc., are not being properly exploited till now. If we look into villages at various states of the country, we will see still many more villages are there where aquatic ecosystem, that is the water bodies, are not properly exploited. Now, once we exploit the aquatic ecosystem, that is the water bodies, if we exploit properly, then we can raise the production of animal food. The best aquatic animal food is the fish. And if you compare various sorts of animal food, the highly digestible and best animal food is fish. Fish is a particular type of animal food which can be consumed by a child, even an aged old person can also consume it very comfortably to meet the demand of animal protein. So in that respect, if we are to fulfill the dream of Mahatma Gandhi for development of village, we have to look into aquatic ecosystem. We have to look into development of aquatic ecosystem. We have to look into exploitation of aquatic ecosystem for development of village and directly for development of the nation. Now, in the villages, various sorts of water bodies are there. And if we look, we will see that during rainfall period, if we look into rainfall period, you will see the paddy fields remain waterlogged. The waterlogging condition in the paddy field may be seen for 5 days, 6 days, even for 15 days to 1 month. And nowadays, new varieties of paddy are there, which will remain in waterlogged condition, but it will not spoil by water. So, under waterlogged condition in paddy field, we can culture fish. If we introduce a fish with 2 to 3 centimeter length, within 15 days, it will become 15 to 20 centimeter. So, this way we can produce fish. Rohu, katla, mrigal, these are the vegetarian fish. These fish we can culture in paddy field under waterlogged condition during rainfall period. Now, you come into drain water. In villages, a lot of drain water is there. And lot of drain water is there in metropolitan city, in urban areas, suburban areas, semi-urban areas. So, drain water body is a most discarded water body. Drain water body means this is for drainage of water material from domestic system. But drain water can be exploited for fish production in a very easy way. You know, drain water is a source for growth of mosquito larvae. We are suffering from mosquito problem. So mosquito problem we can solve if we introduce larvae of koi fish into the drain, then all the mosquito larvae will be eaten up by the koi fish, and koi fish will grow to adult within short time span. So this way we can control drain water, we can control the problem of mosquito. And, and another type of water body is damaged prone. In village area, lot of damaged ponds are there. Damaged ponds mean some ponds are there which are weed infested. Lot of weeds are there. As a result, those water bodies are not being used by anybody. So I wish to say that damaged water body, weed infested water body can be exploited for development of villages if we introduce grass eating fish, silver carp, grass carp. If silver carp, grass carp during larval stage are introduced into this type of damaged water body for about 10 days to 80 days, they will become big, they will become adult. And by the time the water body will be free from weed. So this way we can control weed, we can convert the water body from damaged to domestic use. And on the other way, we can produce fish. So earning source is can be increased and our food source can be increased. This way we can meet up the demand for animal protein. The another one is so many small ponds are there in village. So many small ponds. You will see so many small ponds means I mean to say the water body which are shallow in nature. The water body which are shallow in nature, they are not at all pond. Pond means a water body depth of which is more than 6 meters. Shallow water bodies are not at all pond. They are called wetland. So this wetland is a best resource for culture of small sized fish. So for culture of small sized fish, tangra fish, puntias fish, small sized rohu, katla mrigal, etc. can be done. Etc. fish can be cultured in small pond. So this is the way how we can develop the villages. Now the question is, plant agriculture, if plant agriculture can progress too much, why aquatic agriculture cannot progress in many villages still now? The thing is, probably, it is my belief that a more and more hard labor is needed for development of pond for fish agriculture. Because if you wish to do work in a land agriculture system, you can go to morning period, you can go to day period, evening period, any period. If you wish to go to pond for looking into fish agriculture, you cannot go there at any moment because this is a water body. Either we are to swim or we are to go by boat or we are to go there with some system. So this is the way how aquatic ecosystem in village can be developed, in rural area can be developed for fish production. And this is the way how we can develop aquatic agriculture. Now, if we look into the vision of Mahatma Gandhi, I can say Mahatma Gandhi has a lot of vision for science also. Few years ago in Anandabazar Patrika, I saw Mahatma Gandhi was looking upon monocular microscope. He was found looking over monocular microscope. In biological sense, we usually use monocular microscope for studying biological objects, which are microscopic in nature, which are very small and which can be seen in bigger form. So this is an example by which we can understand that Mahatma Gandhi has vision for science also. At once upon a time, in the year 2009, when I was visiting the laboratory of Albert Einstein, at one area I found a big glass box fixed over the wall, and there I found one Xerox copy letter that is written by Mahatma Gandhi. What is that letter? What is the content of that letter? Mahatma Gandhi, during World War period, Mahatma Gandhi wrote to Albert Einstein, "Dear scientist Albert Einstein, you proceed. You continue your research for peace and harmony of the world. We are with you." When Albert Einstein was in a threat because of Hitler, that time Mahatma Gandhi wrote that letter. It means this is an indication that Mahatma Gandhi has also a very broad vision for science also. So I shall not speak too much. This is all about what I mean to say. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Banik, for your short speech. And you were trying to situate Gandhi in the villages, and Gandhi very much in consonance with what Gandhi used to say or reiterate, that true India, real India lives in villages. You have rightly observed that unlike the urban populace, the villagers live in tune with nature, live with nature. So you have rightly said the terrestrial ecology as well as the aquatic ecology. In theory, we read in in the academia or in the classrooms, but this is really practiced by the villagers, and more so in the tribal villages. You find, especially in northeast and remote villages, and these people do not know anything about ecology, but they know that how much they are parasitic or how much they are dependent on nature. So they live with nature. And somebody, while observing about Gandhi's, synopsizing Gandhi's thought, said that for Gandhi, it is a learning from everyone and every place, at every time, every point of time. So it is learning from life, learning for life, and learning across life. So life and education become integrated. And he said that we should keep our ventilators open, inlets and outlets open, so that there will be real symbiosis of Western thought and Indian thought. But he always warned that under no circumstance the Indian ethos should be sacrificed in the name of modernization. He was definitely not averse to science. He was more modern than any other modern person, but he was always gave a caution that in the process, in the onslaught, when there is an onslaught of Occidentalism, the fundamentals of Orientalism or Indian culture should not be swept away. We should try to preserve and promote Indian cultural values in our alma maters, in our educational institutions, in our developmental programs, so that India can play the role of a pioneer in the development, in the global development. So thank you very much. Now we go to the last symposium, Mr. Dr. Muhammad Meja Islam from Dhaka University. Now he is a relatively young man, but with a profound footing in the subject. He has been in the center stage of the department for quite some time. He was the chairman of the department. Now he's a professor of library science there, and information science and library management. He has a number of publications, as many as 60 publications, and which are quoted and which are referred internationally, nationally. And so I should say that he's in the occupies center stage of academics in the university, and he's a role model for other researchers and for teachers, and he's known for his qualities of head and heart by his friends and his classmates and his sympathizers. So we have such a scholar with us. Let us listen to him, and he is speaking on library's role in rural literacy and development, especially the role of information science in trying to augment rural literacy and being playing a catalytic role in the development of villages. So, Dr. Muhammad Mejab, I would call upon you to kindly share your considered views on the subject.
Hello, thank you. Sir, can you
Yes,
hear
yes,
me?
yes, you
Am I audible? Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor A.K. Mohanta, sir, who introduced me. Good afternoon to all the dignitaries and respected participants. Thank you very much for selecting the symposium theme, which the history of independence movement in Bangladesh and India. So can I have some attention of our Mr. Ashish, who is helping me for sharing my PPT?
Sure,
Please.
sir. Sure, sir.
So actually, my title is Rural. So please. Gandhi and rural literacy. So Gandhi and rural literacy, information literacy is the continuous process. Gandhi said about information literacy during his time, and he was the best innovator for literacy as well as for rural literacy, village literacy, health and hygiene literacy, etc. The information literacy, this word first time used by Paul Jaworski from USA for the library and information science in 1974. But Gandhiji used this one during his time. This is very remarkable. And UNESCO, next slide, please. And UNESCO defined also information literacy means need of information, location of information, evaluate of information, quality of information, store and retrieve of information, make effective and ethical use of information, and apply information to create and communicate knowledge. So UNESCO 2005, they have given this definition for the world. Almost all characteristics identified by the Gandhi during his time. Next. So, shortly, literacy can be defined as the ability to locate. It means empowerment of the people for locating the information, evaluation, organize, use of information from variety of sources. Our keynote speaker and Dean of Science, sir, and Madam, and our moderator nicely and repeatedly mentioned about the village, about the nutrition, about the water, everything which is related to with the information literacy. For example, media literacy, health literacy, digital literacy, library literacy, rural literacy. Today, we are in this platform for Gandhi literacy also. Next. So, therefore, this is a very important information literacy is the rural people. Literacy on the rural people is also necessary for implementing the development as relevantly as possible for the target people. In a democratic country, such India, where we talk in terms of equality, justice, right, duties and responsibilities, liberty and individuality, self-esteem, etc. And where the right to information is already in place, immediate emphasis should be given to come up with an appropriate mechanism through which information poverty, information ignorance, particularly in rural areas, is very important for the welfare of the rural community, in particularly for the balanced national development as a whole. Bangladesh and India lives in a village, whatever mentioned other speakers also. Gandhi is a visionary, as a visionary of India, had a very clear perception of its village and made empathic ascertain that India lives in her 7.5 lakhs of villages. He further believed that India will have to live in villages, not in town, in hands, not in places. He held this conviction by saying that if a village perishes, India will perish too. He found that the progress of the country lies in development of a majority of its rural villages, developed rural economy, industry, and rural skill. He wanted to bring about a rural reconstruction with sound scientific and spiritual value, which is directly related with the work, humanity, and peace. I am also holding a chair of the president of Haqqani Mission Bangladesh. It's a very exceptional and unique non-government organization in the country of Bangladesh. So we are running 11 projects under the umbrella of work, humanity, and peace. We used to say WHP. And under that umbrella, we are working also same thing where Gandhi ji indicated during his time, and we related before when I got an invitation from the Tripura University. Then I have seen whatever Gandhi working in his time, we are working also same things for making peace in the society. So next slide, please. Gandhian strategy for rural reconstruction was based on village, Swaraj, and Swadeshi movement that we know. The basic principles of village Swaraj as outlined by Gandhiji are trusteeship, Swadeshi, full employment, bread level, self-sufficiency, decentralization, equality, Nai Talim. And Nai Talim, which discussed by our keynote speaker, details. So, next slide, please. Gandhiji developed the idea of Nai Talim for the all-around drawing of the best in child and man, body, mind, and spirit. I'm little bit repeating in different way. Literacy, whatever we are telling, information literacy, whatever we are telling, Gandhi literacy or village literacy. Literacy in itself is no education. It is not the end of education. The spirit of the children could not be trained through books alone. Next slide, please. So, Gandhi was convinced that it is the life and character of the teacher which molds the moral life of the students. The 18-point constructive programs, which I have given the name of Gandhi's 18-point literacy. So that literacy 18-point, we know, I mentioned 7, 8. So I am giving emphasis on last one, which one is 18, number 18, student. Next slide, please. So I have given the name Gandhi's student literacy. What is this? Number 1, a student must have initiatives. They must not be imitators. They must possess freedom. However, they must exercise freedom with restraint and humility. They should have purity of heart, which ensures the purity in personal life. They are brahmacharya. They must maintain self-control in thought, word, and action, and should preserve the vital energy. Number 5, they should cultivate and the sense of service to the community. Number 6, they must develop sense of dignity of labor. Next slide, please. I'm going to conclude. So, in the conclusion, Gandhiji is very keen to bring about a maximum regional self-sufficiency in regard of food, clothing, and shelter in rural areas. To solve rural poverty, he emphasized not only agriculture but also cottage and small-scale industries, which are related with village literacy. So one thing Sriman Narayan emphasized, Gandhiji sublime vision gives us a rare insight into future of mankind. Number two, Gandhiji belongs to the future and not the past. And he is not dead. His message is eternal and some lives as long as sunshine in the vast open seas. Next slide, please. So, thank you very much for hearing my talk. Especially, I try to give some impression regarding Gandhi literacy, information literacy, whatever, which is continuous process. My last message on the basis of today's discussion, will we know who we are? Number two, what a value system or what culture will evolve. And number three, what will eventually happen to the people and their knowledge. Thank you very much. Thank you, respected participants, for hearing my talk. Thank you, moderator, also.
Namaskar. Thank you, Professor. Now, through your slides, you have drawn our attention to certain basics on which the Gandhian thought Gandhian superstructure is broad-based. First of all, you tried to show that the purpose of literacy is not to give simply information or alphabetical education. And you said that the real education should make a difference to the educand in terms of the fact that one should not be imitated, one should have a sense of initiative. And one should know how to marshal, how to regulate one's freedom. That is the real, the flaw of democracy or the weakness of democracy. Freedom is mistaken for licentiousness. That is why many people say that we don't deserve a democracy because the franchise is vested in people who do not know how to use freedom. You do not know how to use freedom, you are likely to abuse freedom. It is vested in an 18-year-old child who is not politically mature, and also in an 88-year-old lady whose thought is impaired, whose sense of judgment is impaired. So freedom, Gandhi used to say that freedom should be given. The freedom does not mean doing whatever you feel like, go by your dictate of your whims and caprices, but it has to be exercised with restraint. That is what you have said. And this should make a difference to the inner self of the individual, personality of the individual, in terms of imbibing or inculcating or embracing certain fundamental values which will make life sustainable, social life sustainable. So Gandhi was in favor of not information-centric education, but value education. What is the need of values? The values he drew from Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, the foundational texts of the Indians. He said these are the values which will uphold not only India, the global society. Today we find that there is a decadence of values. The technology is working against man, to the detriment of man. And he said dignity of labor. Dignity, that is the most important thing the child should imbibe. Respect for nature. And most importantly, paramount thing is this: the child should have a sense of responsibility, commitment, a sense of empathy for the suffering humanity. He should have a sense of duty, obligation, bounden obligation for this is what the real literacy means. And you also underlined another important point, that is communication. Communication. So unless you know, how can you let others know? So knowledge is to be shared. For that, a unhindered, a perfect, time-tested information flow has to be there. So now we live in a globalized society where there is a exchange of technological know-how, information. He said that the villagers are to be empowered. There is a great philosopher back on who says knowledge is power. When you know that malaria is caused by mosquito bite, you can control malaria. When you know the cause of pandemic, the coronavirus, vaccine will be. So knowledge empowers man. So since India lives in the villages, it is villagers, people in the villages who are to be empowered. Right to information has been enacted. But what is important is it has to be enforced and it has to be really translated into a living reality. It is possible only when the last man in the village understand what is rights and what is the responsibility. So information sharing, the communication sharing, the content sharing is very, very important, because unless and until we are knowledgeable, we know what is what, we live in ignorance. And ignorance is a great bane for the humanity. That is why Gandhi used to emphasize on education, especially women education. It is ignorance is a bane. Despite the fact that technology is a boon, now if you are ignorant, you lend yourself to exploitation. So this you have also underlined Gandhi's, how Gandhi used to underline the importance of educating villagers, information sharing, the communication system should be should be warmed up, so that we not only live in a global village, we are not together, but the information should also be shared across the global community, mostly the village people who live marginalized. So thank you for your this slide presentation through the PowerPoint. Now I think we have come to end of the symposium. I think the one which is hosting, the Ashish ji, should tell us that if there are questions, it's followed by question and answers. So we will initiate that, because we are waiting for the lauded talk by our esteemed Vice Chancellor. So after the discussion, I suppose, as per the schedule, we have to now go for very short discussions. Questions should be very, very pointed, very, very focused, and the answers should also be very focused, because we are running behind the schedule. So keeping that in view, and moreover, the another thing is that we are waiting for the address by the Chief Guest, our Vice Chancellor. So the question, we can at maximum take 2 or 3 questions, not more than that. Those who are putting questions, it should be uppermost in their mind that questions should be very pointed. They must pronounce that it is addressed to a particular speaker, or in a particular, if they want to know something, not question for the sake of question.
Sir, there is only one question I am finding.
Okay.
So the question by the participants, they wanted to know how much of this Nai Talim is included in our new education policy 2020. So did you get a chance to explore how much of the possibility is included in new education policy in our by the government of India, or our the MHRD? So
Yes. No, friends, let me have the latitude of responding to this question. Now, see, post-pandemic situation, the pandemic or the corona, which has put the world on its knees. That is the only common concern. Everyone is with a mask, protecting ourselves against a virus which is invisible. And it affects the entire global society. This is a testimony of the fact that we live in a global world. If we are infected, we are globally infected. Now, this has created an exigency for the government of India. It's a call of the Prime Minister to make India self-reliant. And they said that it should be from the grassroots. Now this is a mandate from the top that India should produce things which it needs, people need. We need not depend on anything from beyond, from across the boundaries. So that actually has the new education policy has that broken up. It should not be. It should be life-centric. It should be skill-centric. It should be life-centric. That means we have now the breakup that you must have seen, that shows that right from the beginning, education should be tempered in a manner so that everyone, irrespective of his achievement or ability, gets the benefit of education. So integrating education and skills with living. Now people in India, they have migrated from the places where they're working. Now we are the government, different governments are innovating ways, trying to make funds available. Top of that, government of India also. Now, how we can have the skill which they have, how to hone this skill in the locality, so that need not be dependence, uncalled for dependence on this. So the new education policy, the focus is on this, Nai Talim. Nai Talim, that term, that spirit is very much incorporated in the new education policy, so far as they are trying to ground education on the realities of life. That is my, of course, I don't know whether I'm right, but new education, but the very spirit is driven by the concern of the people to live on their own grounds.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we are having a shortage of time. So we can quickly move to the next program. So I will hand it over to Ashish. He will take it forward.
Thank you, sir. Thanks to all the speakers of the plenary session. We are highly pleased to have with us Professor Ganga Prasad Prasen, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Tripura University, of today's program. I would now request him to address the audience.
Yes. Respected keynote speaker, Professor Sharifuddin Ahmad, North South University, Dhaka, Bangladesh. Professor Muhammad Mezabul Islam, University of Dhaka, Bangladesh. Professor Sukant Banik, Dean School of Sciences, Tripura University. Professor Chandrika Basu Majumdar, Dean, Faculty of Arts and Commerce, Tripura University. Professor Aditya Kumar Mohanty, Department of Philosophy, Tripura University. Dr. B. Sanjay, Librarian, Tripura University. Dr. R.K. Mahapatra, Associate Professor, Department of Library and Information Science, Tripura University. Other members of the organizer of this webinar, participants who are participating in this webinar from India and from abroad, delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I have great pleasure in joining this program of Self-Reliance through Nai Talim, which is a symposium on Gandhian thought for rural literacy and development. At the very outset, I would like to congratulate the organizer for choosing a very, very important topic, and also requesting and arranging the resource person from Bangladesh in this webinar. This is very, very important because we are organizing this program on the eve of the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, our father of nation. I am really thankful to the fraternity of University of Dhaka for collaborating with us to propagate and promote the thoughts of Mahatma Gandhi on rural literacy and development. This pandemic situation has forced us to explore new ways and means to reach out to the community, to educate them, to sustain in this challenging environment. There is an urgent requirement to prepare the young for the new order of life. The skill-based learning systems are gaining momentum. Gandhiji's scheme of Nai Talim is more relevant and appropriate for the present situation. As per his thought, the aim of education is to build self-reliant, self-respecting, sustainable, independent community. According to Gandhiji, literacy is not the beginning or end of education. It is only one of the means by which human can be educated. Education is a lifelong process. I am happy that the new education policy 2020 brought out by the Government of India in many ways fulfilling the intent of Nai Talim. Many of the crores of issues in Nai Talim are addressed in this new policy. It enables the young generation to face the new challenges, that is Atmanirbhar, that is self-reliance, is the new mantra of life. During this COVID-19 pandemic, many of our laborers who are working in big metropolitan cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, Chennai, Pune, and some industrialist places like Punjab, Gujarat, Maharashtra have returned to their respective villages. Before 100 years, Mahatma Gandhi advocated rural development. And now we are also advocating Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is, India can be developed only when we will develop our rural area. We all know that nearly 70% of our people are living in rural area. And most of them are below poverty line. Therefore, they left their villages, their origin place, and they went to different places outside of their state in search of job. But due to COVID pandemic, those industries were closed, agricultural activities were stopped. Therefore, they were compelled to come back and stay in their own place. Now there is a great problem of unemployment. There is no scope for employment in village area unless and until we develop village area. Therefore, our emphasis should be establishment of micro, small, and medium enterprises in rural area. Our priority should be establishment of skill development training program in rural area. We all know that in India there is unequal development. There is unequal distribution of income. Some parts of India are highly developed. Say, for example, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and some states like Punjab, Gujarat, Maharashtra are highly developed. Their per capita income is very high in comparison to other states. It is because of negligence of rural areas by the consequent government of India. So our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi has emphasis for Atmanirbhar Bharat, which we can achieve only if we develop our rural area, because 70% of our total population are based on rural area. So we must strengthen rural economy, which was propounded and initiated by Mahatma Gandhi, father of nation, 100 years ago. Creative learning environment leverages the thinking capability and idea generation in the children. Providing the education in child's mother language will enhance the visualization and concept of increase the productivity. That means if we start giving education in our own mother tongue from the early school level, then they will be more creative. So this concept has also been propounded by Mahatma Gandhi. In our new education policy, we are going to emphasize and we are going to give education, that is primary education, up to class 5 in their mother tongue, which will certainly boost their power of learning and concept. India and Bangladesh are predominantly rural-centric nations. Agriculture is the primary occupation of both the countries. Villages are still dependent on the local craftsmen. Our literacy program should be more focused on vocational needs of the locality. Learning programs should be designed keeping local occupation in mind. It may in turn lead to the development of small-scale and home-based industry. So, Gandhiji announced for village-level rural industries long ago. And same thing we are repeating now after this COVID-19 pandemic. This year, we are also celebrating the 200th birth anniversary of Pandit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. He was an educationist, social reformer, humanist, teacher, and educational administrator. He has given us new approach and vision to the education. His enormous contribution to women literacy and social reforms is pathfinders for new generation. I am happy that Dr. Sanjay, our chief librarian, would collaborate with University of Dhaka and also North South University of Dhaka. Here, I would like to mention that Tripura is very near to Bangladesh. In future also, we would like to collaborate many academic programs with many universities of Bangladesh. And also, we would like to sign some MOU with universities of Bangladesh, where we can send our faculty in Bangladesh University, and also we like to invite student and faculty member of various university of Bangladesh to Tripura, so that we can exchange our academic program, so that our students may go there, stay for some time, know about Bangladesh, their education policy. At the same time, we at Tripura University will be also happy to receive the faculty members and students from some university of Bangladesh for our future academic development. I am sure that This deliberation by the distinguished speakers, panelists, and participants will certainly find solution to our problems and help us to achieve our objectives in future, that is objectives of rural development and Atmanirbhar Bharat. With this, I would like to conclude my short speech. Once again, I thank all of you for inviting me in this webinar and giving this opportunity to be chief guest. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Ganga Prasad Khose, for giving such an inspirational speech here. With this, we have reached almost at the end of today's program. Before concluding our program, I would request Dr. R.K. Mahapatra, Head of the Department of Library and Information Science, Tripura University, to offer vote of thanks. Dr. R.K. Mahapatra, sir. वोट का नहीं आ रहा है. Mahapatra sir, can you switch on your audio? It's not coming. Just a minute, sir. Just a minute, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening, one and all. I am privileged to be with here online for tendering the vote of thanks to all the distinguished persons, participants, organizers who have contributed for the success of the grand occasion of the International Symposium to pay tribute to Mahatma Gandhi on celebrating his 150th birth anniversary, jointly organized by Central Library and the Department of Library Information Science, Tripura University, in collaboration with the Department of Libraries, Information Science and Library Management, University of Dhaka, Bangladesh, on this day of 27th August 2020. At this outset, I tender my vote of thanks on behalf of our university and the collaboration university to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Ganga Prasad Khose, for approving our proposal and extending all supports for organizing this international symposium and accepting our invitation and joined with us and encouraged us by sparing his valuable time despite his busy schedule. Thank you, sir, for your kind presence and encouragement. I express my hearty thanks to both of our deans, Professor Chandrika Basu Madumdar, Dean Faculty of Arts, Commerce, and Professor Sukant Bagbani, Dean Faculty of Sciences, for accepting our invitation and request and join the occasion as a plenary session in online and encouraging us all along. Thank you, madam, and thank you, sir, for your kind presence and sparing your valuable time. I am very much honored to be tendering my vote of thanks on behalf of our university and the organizing team to Professor Sarifuddin Ahmad, Professor North South University, Bangladesh, for accepting our invitation and request, joined from abroad online and inspired us with his valuable keynote address, sparing his valuable time. Thank you very much, sir. We hope your same cooperation for in future too for this academic endeavor. I tender my heartfelt thanks to Professor Muhammad Mezwa ul Islam, Professor, Department of Information Science and Library Management, University of Dhaka, Bangladesh, and my professional colleague to accept our proposal for organizing and conducting this great event in collaboration with his department and university, that is the Department of Information Science and Library Management and University of Dhaka, for coordinating with us with keynote speaker, and he has taken a lot of pain in his weekdays and saluting the symposium and make it a grand success, without whose cooperation this could not be possible. Sir, thank you very much for your kind support and cooperation. We have expect many more academic exchange in future, so I hope you will extend your cooperation with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you a lot. A lot of thanks due to Professor Aditya Kumar Mahanti, Adjunct Professor, Department of Philosophy, Tripura University, who is kind enough to accept our invitation and kept our request and played a greater role in moderating the plenary session of the symposium. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Equally, I thanks are due to Dr. D. Sanjay, librarian and symposium convener for his cooperation and joint effort in organizing and making this symposium success. Thank you very much. I tender my vote of thanks to all our faculty members, professors, registrar, control of examinations, finance officer, heads of all the department, associate professor, assistant professors, officers for accepting our invitation and joined this at a large the program on YouTube link live and made it success. Thank you all. I extend my heart thanks on behalf of the symposium to my dear research scholars, students, and audience for their valued participation and online presence. Not but least, my thanks are always due to our library officers, staff, and my colleagues for extending their cooperation for the success of this international symposium. My special thanks to Mr. Ashish Chaudhary, information scientist, for his ICT support and anchoring. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Finally, we will conclude today's session. With the national anthem of Bangladesh and India. All are requested to stand up, pay respect, and join with the national anthem of both the countries. So with this, we are signing out of the YouTube live streaming. Thank you all.